we're going to go through the webinar outline using the construct of Simon Sinek, the famous golden circle. We're going to provide a few slides on why we're doing this seminar today, what is the personal motivation of us and our background qualifying us to provide you this seminar through EURAXESS. And of course, following up on what Victoria just mentioned, a few slides why the subject of the seminar. Then we will go through how to prepare really a competitive and attractive research CV. And we will finish with the tangible tools to prepare a competitive research CV. So without repeating again things on ourselves, what is most important for the audience, you all researchers and innovators, is that both presenters have experience with EURAXESS, and EURAXESS being one of the most important networks, if not the most important network, to provide career support and career development services to researchers like yourselves. We're both members, both Marianna and myself, of the Cyprus Institute's EURAXESS Services Center, which belongs to the Cypriot National Network of EURAXESS. Why this webinar then? Because you are all interested in planning your career development in research. There are many resources, especially within EURAXESS, to help you create the path to your success in a research career. But more particularly, why the CV-related webinar of today? Well, simply because, as all of you know, for any research fellowship really, for any research grant, and even more so, for any academic and/or research job, what you need definitely is a very attractive and very competitive research curriculum vitae. How then? But before the how, for our experience, the most important part is the before preparing the CV. You will notice in a short while why. Before engaging in preparing the actual document of a research CV, you need to make sure that you have straightened out, laid out, aligned yourself with a nice strategy. So before engaging in preparing a CV, make sure that you have clarified with yourself your personal drive, your personal motivations. List all your professional, educational, knowledge achievements and skills. Make sure you include also your social and personality skills. Reflect a little bit on your dreams and set your goals tangibly. Basically, lay out a strategy for your career development. Even better, compile a personal career development plan so that you know where to focus, which skills you need to hone, what sort of competitive knowledge you need to gain. Focus pretty much on your career objectives. Very useful resources for doing that are, of course, the career development resources provided by our very own network of EURAXESS, particularly the very famous career orientation toolkit, the famous No Limits EURAXESS career orientation toolkit, which will help you identify what is important for you in your career to plan and build your skills and knowledge, as I have mentioned in just the previous slide. There are also other very useful resources, especially the career handbook for the younger researchers, for researchers who are at earlier stages of their career, a very compact and very nicely laid out handbook, and of course also the career researcher development framework provided by Vita UK, also showcased frequently within EURAXESS. How now to prepare a research CV? Well, we have mentioned all the slides before and all the resources before, exactly because for a research CV to be attractive, competitive, and basically successful in its purpose, it should be, first of all, aligned fully with your personal career development plan. This is why we emphasized a lot on the before the actual preparation of the actual document. You need to be proactive and you need to go ahead with all this inner preparation and with this preparatory work and this personal strategy and this personal career development plan, so that the research CV then becomes the culmination of all this preparation. This research CV needs to be customized and tailor-made to the research position, to the research fellowship, to the research grant, to the academic position that you are targeting. And to do that, we have our own suggestion of making sure that the content and the document itself adheres to the GROW approach, the SMART model of John Whitmore. Useful resources for the content of the research CV. There are several out there. We provide here what we think are a couple of the most useful ones, being the academicpositions.com, also cited within EURAXESS, and of course, the quick and practical guide for early career researchers provided by Jobs AC UK. But what we also find quite important as a resource and very useful is something that people tend to forget sometimes. The European Commission itself provides a particular research fellowship, which is particularly targeted at individual researchers, and in it, one may find a very concise and very compact hinting to what is an expected competitive content of a researcher CV. This is none other than the individual fellowships of Marie Skłodowska-Curie, particularly so the latest calls, where you do find in part B, in section 4, an indication of what should be at minimum included in a very competitive and attractive researcher CV. So this is also our hinting and our suggestion, our tipping towards sections, if you will, of your researcher CV. You definitely have to include professional experience in reverse chronological order, definitely your education, and then of course, publications, monographs, invited presentations and speeches, expeditions and or campaigns, and so on and so forth. With that, I will leave you to my dear colleague Marianna, who will now proceed to a tangible tool for preparing a competitive researcher CV, implementing and incorporating all these hints and tips that we have just mentioned now. Marianna, the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Pierantonios, for the introduction and the really nice tips and information you had on your presentation. So, Pierantonios said a lot about why we need to have a CV, a researcher's CV, how we can do it, and what we need to think for doing it. But why it's important to have a good and attractive CV. So your CV is the first impression. It's the first impression that you will give to a potential employer that didn't know you from yesterday. So it's the first thing that they will know of you is your CV. So it needs to be well written and well presented to boost your chance for a face-to-face interview. Your CV can be actually your ticket to your dream job. Remember that it's very important to have a good CV to get your dream job. So, what your CV should include, you will ask. So, it's simple things that you need to take care of when you are writing your CV. First of all, be accurate and brief. We don't want excessive information. We want the employer to go through your CV and find it easy to understand and read. Include updated contact information. Make sure that you're using your most recent telephone number and your more recent email address. You want potential employers to find you, to be able to contact you, so make sure the information is updated. Present your experience clearly. Highlight the relevant information to the application. So make sure your CV is tailor-made to the position you're applying for. highlight your key skills, make it what it is, what you need for the specific job. Make it readable. Use strong verbs. Don't be afraid to present your skills. Include relevant qualification, skills, and experience to the position you're applying for. And also reflect on your current skills and experience. Make sure you use reverse chronological order. Include explanation of any wrong gaps. So make sure you start from the most recent one. I understand many of you may have a lot of experience that goes back, I don't know, to 90s, 80s maybe, but we want your more recent experience. Your more recent experience usually reflects what you want to do now. So it reflects your more recent skills and qualifications. Make sure you show them first. You don't want someone to get bored by the time it arrives to the present. Make sure you polish and fine-tune your CV. Be professional about it. Maybe have someone to proofread it. Even the tiniest grammatical mistake can make a difference, so be very careful about it. And I know you are all researchers, academics. You may have a huge list of publications. Maybe you're still building on it, but at some point it's going to be big. Make sure you use selective publications relevant to the position you're applying for, the one that the employer wants to see. So be selective, be relevant. You will ask where I can get help, how I can create such a CV. So there is a simple answer to that. And EURAXESS has it. Use Europass. So Europass, it's a tool. It's a set of online tools and information to help you manage every step of your learning and career. It's a free tool, and it's one of the most trusted on international level. Europass allows you to effectively communicate your skills and qualifications in Europe, and not only Europe, worldwide. And it's available by the European Commission in 29 different languages. Imagine your potential using Europass. And as I said, it's a set of online tools. So with Europass, you can have a Europass profile to include all your information. You can create your CV with Europass CV editor. You can have a cover letter. You can get a diploma supplements and certificate supplements. And of course, you can use Europass Mobility for your access to Europe. You can also find links to European and national sources and gather information on working in Europe. It's very important to gather such information. It's very important to know where are you coming to and how you can do it, how you can create your Europass profile. You can do it by visiting Europass website. Get started then. Get started by going to europa.eu, Europass, and create a Europass account. Just follow the easy steps over there and create your Europass CV. Choose a style that represents you. We don't all have the same character. We don't have the same style. Actually, Europass gives you this option. Choose a style that represents you. Create an e-portfolio as well. Have everything in one online cloud, somewhere that you can have access at any time. And make use of your Europass digital credentials. You can have everything in one place, and you can make use of that. But don't forget, I said before, I use the word too many times by now, Europass is still a tool. It will help you create a CV, but needs your input to become a great CV. And how you can have a great CV, just make sure you avoid some tiny little bit of mistakes that we all do when we're preparing our CV. So don't be too long. And when I'm saying that, you will say, but I'm an academic, I have too many publications, I went to too many conferences. No, I mean, don't be too long on the core body. Of course, you should include an annex with your publication, conference participations, etc. But make sure your core body is quite compact. So don't make it more than 2 pages. Most probably it's gonna be irrelevant the more than 2 pages. Of course, include your publications, but have it in an annex, and always include your DOI numbers. Never include professional contact details. Imagine how awkward it's gonna be if a potential employer contacts you at work. So always use a personal phone number and a personal email address, and make sure you do have access to them and you check them out on a regular basis. And never include irrelevant personal information. Sometimes it might be relevant, most of the times it's not. So don't include things that are such marital status, social media accounts such as Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. Make sure you include only your professional information. LinkedIn, it could be a good social network to include, but make sure it's relevant. Don't be repetitive. It's one of the most common mistakes in a CV. We become repetitive, and we can become repetitive in many ways. One of them, it's meaningless or wrong introductions. You can fall into the trap to become repetitive with that. And what I mean by becoming repetitive. So on an introduction, you will usually say, hello, I'm Marianna, I'm an HR officer, I'm good on this and that, I work here and there, and I'm thriving because I'm the best. But all this information, you will include them on your CV anyway, and you will include them on your cover letter. What are you gonna write in your cover letter if you include everything on your introduction? So just take care of these little bits. Also, make sure you explain the chronological gaps. You don't leave any chronological gaps. And if you have any, explain them. It's very, very usual. It's very, very normal to have chronological gaps. You can have gaps because you went on travel year. You may have gaps because you are on maternity. Just explain it. It's good to know why these gaps are on your researcher's CV or on any CV. Make sure you're not lying or you're not using misleading information. Be sure the truth will always show at the end. And especially when you're coming to an interview, interviewers have the experience. They will know if you're lying in the first seconds they meet you. They're saying that you make the first impression. Someone knows if they want to hire you or not in the first seconds. Truth will show in the first seconds as well, so make sure you're not lying. And final, last but not least, make sure you don't include a list of references. If an employer needs your list of references, they will ask for it. Don't make the mistake to fall into the GDPR trap. It's GDPR regulations, and you need to make sure that you are not giving information that you're not authorized to give, or you're not allowed to give without permission. And also, it can make it bigger, it can make it your CV longer without any reason. And finally, take full advantage of your Europass account. Update your profile regularly. Your skills, your qualifications, your experience We're in a fast-paced environment nowadays. Your skills, your qualifications, and your experience are fast changing and are fast improving. Make sure you keep them up to date with your Europass account. It will help you a lot with your CV preparation, your cover letter preparation. Always have an access to the up-to-date picture of all of your skills. Of course, choose the ones you need every time to have your CV and that you need to send to an employer, but have everything in one place. And create multiple CVs, highlighting key skills. You can have CVs for different kind of positions, a researcher position, an academic position, a more junior position. Have different CVs and then work on them to tailor it. It's gonna be quicker and much more efficient. And don't forget, Europass provide cover letter services. Always make sure to support your application with a cover letter. Every employer will see you with a different eye if your application includes a cover letter. Make sure you get connected. Take the next step in your career, manage your skills, plan your career. It's your path, it's your life, your dream job. Thank you all very much.